But yes, conjuring is making a deal with a spirit, one way or another, making a relationship with a spirit, making it can be transactional if it's the sort of thing where you feel with that spirit you ought to have a transactional relationship, or it can be long term, just like with a person, right? Like there's people I've done business with, and I should say many of the skills that apply in business apply in conjuring. You got to be able to assess what things are worth to different parties. You got to be able to look. If you don't negotiate, some of these spirits will ask for far too much. And I should also say that I was talking about this German grimoire from the 1300s I was looking at. It happens right in there. It talks about how the spirit's going to ask for this. Good. Questions are coming back up. It talks about how the spirit's going to ask for something, and you should turn him down and not accept that deal. You should never trust the intentions of a spirit unless it is a spirit that is known well to you. To answer the question, DJC72's very good question. So, there's always spirit present, depending on how purely you want, because spirit, like God, has to be omnipresent, right? But depending on how purely you want it, and how strong you need that signal, in my opinion, that's where bringing it with physical things and with further invocations is necessary. As I said the other time that I went live, I think a true master wouldn't need any roots, anything to hold in their hands, wouldn't need any words. They would do it all in themselves with their thoughts. I am nothing like that, right? I'm not that guy. I don't think that guy goes live on Instagram. But I do think that the power is within the worker. I'll take a moment to say it right there. It's called work, right? That's a reason it's called work. You have to put a labor input in. This is not lazy shit. This is not, wish upon a candle and put your intention into it and then light it and do whatever and it'll come true. And when that does happen, that's because someone else put work into that candle. You understand? When you buy a candle, that's because someone put work into it. And that's why I don't buy mass-produced candles, because I don't really trust their work. You see? So, because I don't know who did it. I don't know what kind of day they were having. I know they worked in some sort of factory job where they probably tried to have good vibes all the time, but you never know. And when you pay a lot for a candle from a worker on Instagram, there's some great workers selling candles on here. You can clearly see. Yeah, you're paying for that. You're paying for what they're doing on the front end, so that it's turnkey, as we say, when you get it, right? You just light it, set it and forget it, right? You light it, you say your little. At least I give you homework with it, right? I give you the Psalms with the candle. But so someone asked earlier, do I always conjure? Great response to that. Sometimes I use the Psalms. I don't feel like I did answer that very excellent question, though. Is there a spirit or spirit's already there, or must we call one forth? It depends. If you're trying to work with a specific spirit, you have to make sure they're there. That's if you're working with a saint. That would be if you're working with, any specific spirit. You gotta make sure they're present. Even a demon, angel, whatever. If it's a spirit of a root, obviously you got the root, you got to wake them up, though. If it's the spirit of a dirt, I think you got to wake them up. Spirit of a dime, anything like that, you got to wake them up. They're there, well, if you have the object. If it's an immaterial thing, spirit of an ancestor, if you have their grave dirt, they're there. if you have their picture, you have a strong link to them, strong enough to bring them there generally. If you just have your memory, you got to energize that link. Do you believe spells can work without using or working with spirits? I was just touching on that, so I'll go into detail. Yeah, I use the Psalms a lot. But you're working with the biggest spirit of all, then you're working with God. That's why they say Moses is the biggest conjure man or biggest hoodoo man in the Bible. I'm not speaking of myself there. I'm speaking of the eponymous Moses. I think that's the proper usage of that word. Yeah, you can work with in Hebrew and Kabbalah, it's Tzirufim. There's the same concept of seed sounds in Hindu magic, all Enochian, all that. And it's the idea that the sound energy, the wave of the sound, produces effects. This is a big part of drum magic, and it's powerful. I don't necessarily do it. With the Psalms, yes, that's part of working with the Psalms. It's certainly part of working with the holy names. But in a sense, whenever you're giving prayer or praise to a spirit, that's feeding that relationship. Spirits exist. They there's this idea that man creates God, right? Like that spirits exist because of our belief in them. So that's their life force. In a sense, their belief in us is our life force. That's part of how it works. Do you believe spells can work without using or working with... Oh, yeah, we did that. So, yes, you can work with basic vibrational energy, but it's easier to use a spirit as a mediator. DJC, how do you know the spirits are there? I look for signs. I personally get a weird feeling, I basically pay attention to my body very much. I'll feel something in my body, depending on the nature of the spirit, whatever. I'll pay attention to the flames, the candles I have lit. I'll pay attention to the water. I'll just pay attention. Pay attention is the best way to say. You know when there's a presence around and when there's not a presence. Like if you're home alone, that feels different, if you will, than if someone else is even just like downstairs taking a nap or whatever. So in the same way, like just there, you feel a presence, and then however you communicate with spirit, and that's different. We all have different gifts, I would say, right? So we all have different... No, we all have the same senses, but like I'm nearsighted. I wear contact lenses, so I don't have the same vision as some people. Really good sense of smell, though. Really fantastic sense of smell and pretty sharp hearing. Better than most people. So it's the same in the spiritual faculties, right? So very few people have excellent clairvoyance. Seems more people have clairaudience. They hear spirit. I have, clairgnosis, clairsentience. I don't know. I just get full sentences and stuff in my mind. Man, this question comes up. Elements of energy for us. Look, you're asking, I'll read the question out loud. Would a conjurer face negative repercussions for doing breakup or spell work on behalf of someone else? Or would it be the client who experiences the quote-unquote karma? First of all, it's complete misuse of the word karma. And I know you're just using it in the common parlance. I'm not, singling you out. But karma is attachment, and certainly doing bad things increases our attachment to the devious, to the false, what have you. But that repercussion, that's a law of physics. You can cloak a sender so a person can't retaliate. But you're going to get blowback. That's why you got to take a bath. If you don't take a bath to get that off you, and, you know, that's why there's all sorts of precautions. You know, you gotta. That's why you dispose of your ritual remains. That's why all this, because you gotta get that off you. Absolutely it hits you back, and then you gotta get it off. That's part of the job. You know, if you're an exterminator and you're spraying nasty chemicals, there's precautions you have to take as part of your professional decorum, right? You and the same way, you take precautions. You wear your amulets, you wear your protections, you say your invocations to protect yourself to the extent you do. And like, I don't draw circles, and I don't do half the stuff that, like, if I were conjuring heavy spirits, I would do. To be completely frank, I don't conjure anything. I mean, except my saints, which are heavy spirits. And again, Santa Muerte, I've said it before, man. You show respect. Show respect. Proper respect. Don't fucking go in there, oh, hey, you're super nice. They sell you at the mall. I wanna make a deal with you. Like, show respect when you work with her. And when you conjure with her, that's why she has her own altar. Right? People always go in why does Santa Muerte get her own altar shit? Because everyone else is in sort of the same side of things. She's different. She works different. And you keep her a little more at a distance. Like, if she's your mother, she's your mother. That's that. But just like in the mob, dude, if someone's like your godfather or godmother, whatever, like if someone is, and people call her madrina, you know what I mean? That's like godmother, like that. She's different. And you gotta. I mean, I'm not gonna tell anyone not to make a strong relationship with her, because I have a lifelong relationship with her based on just the things that have happened in my life. And you find very often the people who do have that kind of relationship with her, that's the thing. It's like, she's just around. So, okay, she's just fucking around. So better we're on good terms. And, you know, at this point, I love her, but I don't expect most people to be able to muster that perspective. But yeah, I think people should not be flippant about working with her. It's easy to work with her. She's good at what she does. But a thing to think about is something I read. I read it like the other day. But it's a really cool Cuban saying, the devil is wise because he's old, not because he's the devil. Or the devil knows things because he's old, not because he's the devil. So, Santa Muerte can do things because she has these certain powers, not because she's Santa Muerte. Not because she's death, right? Just a side thing. What do you think about blood, about sacrifice your blood to spirits, yay or nay? If no, why? I've talked about this. I was asked to by a spirit. I said no. It wasn't what I was looking for. Wasn't worth that. Big reason why not is because that's your essence. That's your essence. You do like essential oil or whatever. That's your fucking essential oil. That's your most pure, precious. You better be asking for something serious, major. I can't think of anything on my radar that I'm asking for. Certainly for a client, that's worth that. No disrespect, but a client's only paying me money, and like, I wouldn't give that away for money. Maybe that's why I'm not rich, though. You know. Any chilling or scary encounters? Yeah, I mean, I had a couple. The issue with the witch riding my daughter that I caught and escaped. That's a whole thing. That stepped up my whole belief in the, like, beyond this is like, a metaphor in my own mind, to like, no, this is things outside of of myself or acting in, you know, obviously all our perceptions are within ourselves, right, fundamentally, but it appears that things outside of myself are acting in ways that defy what I rationally expect. That was definitely a game changer from my perspective. And the other was everything, what just went down with my spirit bowl, you know. I don't really care to really discuss the details, but I conjured with a spirit that misrepresented itself. And I should say, I didn't do my due diligence. Just like in contracts, I didn't do my due diligence in, I don't know, vetting that spirit. And I got burned, man, and I had to kill the spirit, and it was a mistake. I didn't get literally physically burned, but yeah, and it appeared it gave every outward sign of compliance in terms of, yeah, it was, you know, there's this old trope, what you'd call it, of magicians sort of keeping their failed experiments locked up in the basement, and I completely fucking understand it now, because I had an attachment to that thing, and that's why I had to kill it. When the spirit causes that sort of attachment, it's dangerous. Luckily, that was a synthetic spirit, so it could be killed. It was not, you know, it was at worst an elemental, so it could be returned to its essence. It was not a composite spirit, what we'll call it, like I don't know, a spirit of the dead or something of that nature, or demon or anything of that. It was a much more elementary spirit than that. And yeah, it sucks. It was luckily, or not luckily, but it was work I was doing for myself, so it didn't come back on a client with negative consequences. How did I kill the spirit? That I'm not going to give out for free. No disrespect, but that's why I'm doing classes, though. But yes, I could say in general, iron, they don't like. There's certain other higher spirits that you can work with that are very fucking good at killing these things. And so when you combine holy fire, and combine, you know, commanding them with things more powerful than them, that is the route to success, I can say in brief. You can... that's why every worker needs an iron knife. If you don't have an iron knife, and I mean iron, the whole thing, it has to be a solid piece of iron. That's why I really like those railroad spike knives, and they're cheap, and there's some workers selling them. Go check them out. You can dress it with you can dress it with St. Michael oil. You can dress it with fiery wall protection oil. You dress your knife just like you'd oil your knife. And yeah, you could talk to Troll Cunning Forge, actually, at Troll Cunning Forge, and you can ask him to smith you a knife, and he'll put herbs in the quench when he does the blacksmithing. We've talked a lot about that. He does really cool smithing. And what's up to the pirate Jenny, who I know is like my co-host on this shit. She does very good at setting me up for good topics when I start drifting here. So yeah, you should always have an iron knife if you're dealing with spirits. And if whoever is your protector, keep them handy, right? Like St. Michael is a convenient one for me to work with. And our relationship, even with that, it's conjuring. Why does St. Michael work with me? Although everyone? Or why do any of these sort of like angels of good work with you? Because you do good. You help them fulfill their mission. Right? Their mission is what? To bring good on earth. We go back to the Zoroastrianism, right? We go back to this book from the earlier little segment here. And the three magi, again, that we're discussing today on Three Kings Day, who went to see the infant Jesus, right? What were they bringing? They were bringing this knowledge, right? That the forces of good are here through us to defeat the forces of evil. I hate to evangelize, but that's, the philosophy at work here. So when you're working with St. Michael, Archangel Michael, one of the purest forces, he's a certain aspect of God, right? Like St. Michael, Archangel Michael is God in the material. It's very powerful. And therefore, by doing good works in the world, that's how you build that relationship. So even that, still conjuring. And so that's to say, when you conjure with spirits, does not necessarily mean making a deal with the devil, but it does mean making a deal with a spirit, entering into a transaction, whether it's a long-term agreement, short-term agreement. That's what it is. And even the saying of the Psalms, to me, what is Psalms? Psalms is praises. So you're feeding into a relationship to get back results. Yes, it does have the Tzirufim in it, those seed sounds. That's where the holy names combined with it comes in, that you see in Secrets of the Psalms and things like that, Shemush Tehillim and things like that. But yeah, you use those in the context of praises. You're giving praises. Singing is how the Psalms are supposed to be recited traditionally. There's all songs. Every single one. It's often cut out in the English translation, but it says what instrument it's to be played on. On the kinnor, on the nechilot, on the whatever. They're all different ancient instruments, And there's some very strange sounding recordings of them being played authentically. But yeah, it's all conjuring. And look, dealing with people's all conjuring too. In long-term relationships, it's a longer conjure. I hate to use the phrase long con, but long conjure. But yeah, it's the same. If someone's not fulfilling their role in a relationship, you have a discussion about that, right? At some point, I hope so. So, if that's the case, yeah, you gotta draw that line somewhere in a relationship, and even if it's not like, oh, fuck you, a relationship's over. I can think of like my friends. At some point, you check your friends. That's your job, and be like, hey man, what's going on? That's like, I noticed this is going on with you. Is everything all right? This is not normal for you, right? You check them. You bring them back in. And that's conjuring too. Because you're feeding into that relationship. You're helping them. And you're helping bring them back on a course so they can continue their reciprocation with you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how we're social animals. That's what we do. Our minds are good at it, and we're good at doing it with spirits too, so it works. So, Lady Sandra, isn't that like saying there's good and bad spirits within us all? What Zoroastrianism posits, how I would see it is, I would say, we choose. That's what makes humans pretty interesting. I've talked about before how, like, animals have spines that are perpendicular to the earth, or parallel to the earth, right? And we have spines that are perpendicular to the earth. So and the sun, we sort of mediate between the two. Plants, same as us, but they point up, their limbs, and our limbs point down. So we bring solar energy and we put it down. They take terrestrial energy and return it up. So in that role, we are able to make certain choices. Plants can too, by the way, but animals can't necessarily. And being able to make those choices, we fulfill a pattern one way or the other. To break it down to like raw science, where I like to go with it, if you know fractals, or if you know, like even an atom, right? Like down to the level of an atom, okay? Atom is like the nucleus, the thing spinning around it. The way that little fucking thing is spinning can go one way or the other. It's called chirality, whether it's spinning one way or the other way. And that changes a whole course of events that can come from that. What sort of chemicals can be made from that one little atom. And then the whole complex chemical is different. And it's chirality. It's very important in drugs, especially the pharmaceuticals. But that principle, like you think of dextromethorphan, that's a pharmaceutical drug that's also abused. But dextro means left, means right-handed. So it's right-handed chirality. So you can change the effect on a basic, like fundamentally, just by picking this or that, A or B. That is yin and yang, which was what the mathematician Leibniz was studying when he invented binary mathematics, which is how fucking computers work. And it's logic. It's the fundamental expression, complex or condensed expression of logic, which is computers. Okay, Lady Sandra, can those spirits within us be conjured? What you are describing is very much like what I understand, and I'm not initiated into it, so I'm not speaking firsthand. Very much what I understand Kimbanda to be talking about. Kimbanda talks about everybody has their Eshu and their Pombagira, and you essentially conjure those spirits within you. What I'm positing is, I guess that's possible. Yeah, I guess I should say, I totally think that's possible. That's not how I work with myself. Nothing wrong with it, just not how I know to work. But that is, you have those within you, and you could conjure on that level with it, and that's certainly strong work. It's not how I personally operate. What have you found to be the most powerful kind of trick? It depends on the target. It depends on what you're trying to do. And again, most powerful, look, you don't need the most powerful gun to hunt your prey. It's a mistake to use most powerful always for a multitude of reasons. And then I forget the exact same person who had asked about kind of karma. Yeah. That's why you don't use most powerful, because there's kickback. When you shoot a gun, there's kickback. Right? When you create an explosive forward-directed force, there's negative reciprocal force backwards. So you use most powerful, you put more power out, you get more power back. It's not necessary. You don't need an elephant gun to kill a rabbit. It's very... Be efficient. This is your fucking spirit you're playing with. You can regenerate it, sure. And if you have forever to sit in meditation and cultivate your spirit, more power to you. I don't. And it's limited. Right? Every time you write on paper, you burn spirit. Every time you fold a crease, you burn spirit. Every time you have sex, you burn spirit. Every time you burn spirit. And you regenerate it. But once you burn more than you've regenerated, that's it here. I'm ready to go, but I got people I love, and I'm trying to stay at the party a little longer, if you will. So yeah, that's why be cautious. No reason to burn up more than you need. No reason to use the most powerful. As for the most effective way of working with someone, and elements for energy. Don't take my tone to be critical. I'm from New Jersey. It's simply how I behave. I come across as abrasive, but yes, now you'll never forget it. So I'm trying to be an effective teacher. Yes. Yeah. Don't go too hard always. It's just not necessarily. Don't use a gun when a knife can do. Don't overdo it. That's a sure reason to have a short career, or a sure way to have a short career. Because going harder than you need to, being more powerful than you need to, The only reason you might do that is if you have a really hard target, then you need a more powerful means. And in terms of more effective, it's so situational. It's so... It depends on their sign, whether they're going to be more affected by what element. That's going to depend on their sign. Some people are more effective if you put it in the air and you can get in their thoughts. Some people are more affected if you get it on them. You see, some people you got to feed it to. In general, if you're going to put it in the air, you need to be able to, and put it in the air, I mean like burn a candle and incense and use your mind. If you're going to put it in the air, you need something, a homing beacon, to make sure that gets where it's going. And a name paper can work, but I don't know. You gotta really make sure that name paper is connected to them. Like, you gotta really put the intention in there and know who they are. And if you're doing client work, that can be difficult. If you're working for yourself and you're working on someone that is in physical proximity to you, which, by the way, is how this work came about, right? Even if the worker wasn't in physical proximity to the target, the client would be. So this whole social media thing is a different sort of geographical framework than Hoodoo Conjure's been done before. I mean, I guess it happened by mail, but not that sort of far apart without physical presence. But I have clients who want stuff done on, potential clients who want work done on, they live in one country, they want to work, I live here in the States, and they want to work someone else in a whole other country. That's not, what this work is necessarily designed for. And again, not impossible work, but the way I see it, or the way I model it, is that the more improbable the result you're trying to bring about, the more energy you're going to have to put into changing the situation. And that goes back to the cost. So, what's it worth to you? So, on that note, I've been doing this for a little while. I should probably wrap up. I got work to do tonight. I'm going to publish all this. I'm glad there's audio. Everyone can hear it. And yeah, I'm going to be having real lessons online soon. And anyone who wants to learn, as you saw from my story today, I was kind of asking about structure and time and pricing and all that. What I think's going to happen is I think they're going to be classes that are basically an hour and a half per topic. I'll break those down into shorter segments of about 22 minutes, like a TV show length, TV episode, and then it'll be pay per episode. And so, pay a couple bucks for what you want to watch. You can kind of skip around topical if you watch the beginning of something and it's not for you. You're not in for the whole thing. But that way, for people, and there will be, I'm figuring out a way to do kind of like a season pass type thing, where it's like, for those people who want to do the longer, just they know they want to watch the whole thing, they're into the long lesson, you just be able to pay for that, and then jump right in, and then it'll be unlimited access. It'll take me, let me work out the kinks here. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm probably saying too much here, but I like to tease a little. I'm also talking with some other workers I really respect and trying to get them to join me in this endeavor, because I only think I can teach you guys so much. But it's cool to be able to. I think it's important to have an independent platform too, and hopefully I will also be working with some, certainly one very well reputed school, and specific targeted coursework for them. This is just for me. I don't know, teaching my little weird, quirky stuff, and kind of more my total system, if you will. As you guys know, I like to break it down from first principles, and that's a longer, more in-depth thing than I think many people want. And so this will be my long in-depth thing, and then again, hopefully I'll soon have an announcement doing a more, what people are looking for in a beginner course. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I got work to do and stuff. Thank you for tuning in all. And people are just tuning in now. I'm sorry, I'm on my way out, but please watch it on the replay, and I'll make sure I get this thing posted. I'll actually try to save this one too, which I haven't successfully done yet. All right, thank you guys for the questions and for keeping this going. Look for class announcements soon. All right, have a good night.